All right, let's go to the phones. I love this. Joining us right now is the vice chairman of V4V, a former Blazer dancer. She's now a dance teacher in Salem, where she makes her home, and also has a chance to be a stay-at-home mom as well. It's Wisa Opton with us on the program for the first time, and maybe you read about it in her Portland Tribune. Carrie Agers, the dean of Portland Sports, had a great piece on her as well. Wisa, welcome to the program. Now, tell me about this. You sat in the cockpit of a Chinook helicopter. How cool was that? Tell me about it.
Oh, it was so cool. I had never done anything like that before, and it was pretty mind-blowing.
I've never sat in a helicopter myself, and I've talked to friends who have been on helicopter rides. I've wanted to do it, but to sit in the cockpit of a Chinook, man, that's like, wow.
Yeah, it was pretty special. I think the thing that really stood out to us was how huge this thing was and how powerful.
You know, back in 2003, Wisa, the Blazer dancers performed for troops in Fort Hood, Texas, and that's when the ball started to get rolling with where you're at now with V4V. Tell me about that Fort Hood experience.
Well, I actually wasn't lucky enough to attend the Fort Hood experience, but in 2011, my good friend John Curry gave me a call. I was out of town, and he said, hey, what would you think about getting together a group of former dancers to volunteer at some veterans events, you know, maybe go visit some hospitals or care centers. And, you know, that's one of the things that I had really missed, not being on a professional team anymore. And I said, that's a great idea. We should definitely get together a group of girls.
You know, I don't think a lot of people realize when they go to Blazer games and they see the Blazer dancers, how much time off the court they spend, you know, working with different charities and doing a lot of volunteer work. That's part of the gig, isn't it?
It is part of the gig, and it's actually a really fun part. And when you are off the team, it's, you know, it's something that you miss. It's really special to be able to do something like that, to give back to the community. And, you know, the military and veterans have always had a, you know, a special place in our hearts. And so we were really looking forward to putting something together for this.
We're talking with Wisa Opton, former Blazer dancer. You know, going back to John Curry for just a moment, I know him, and he's been a photographer at Blazer games for, you know, what, like 30 years or so, but he's also a veteran. What was his thinking behind V4V?
Well, John retired from the Navy in 2008. I've known him for, I'm going to date myself, but about 20 years. And when he called me with this idea, we hadn't really talked about it before. But when he brought it up, I said, gosh, that's brilliant. And I knew a lot of the old dancers would love to be involved in something like that, too. So the first time we talked was in March, and we were able to put together a group to do our first event in August of 2011. We visited the VA in Portland, and it was great. We had a wonderful response.
You know, when you show up at the hospitals or at different events, when you're with veterans, Wisa, you know, what is their reaction to your presence when you arrive and take a moment to sit down with them?
It's such a great experience. You know, you walk in and, you know, a lot of the guys that we see at the Veterans Hospital are a lot older. We're really lucky enough to meet World War II vets, Korean vets, you know, Vietnam War vets. And when you come in with a smile to say thank you for what you've done for our country, they are all smiles. They can't wait to tell their story and sit down and talk to us. It's great.
You know, what I was wondering is, for the first time a few years back, I had never been in a cancer ward, and then someone reached out to me, and there was a Blazer fan who also listened to the program a little bit, and so I went over to the hospital at Legacy Emmanuel, and I had a chance to go into the cancer ward and see patients who were being treated, and I'd always heard that cancer was really bad, but I didn't know how bad until I saw it with my own eyes. And I wonder if the same experience happened to you, where you hear about vets, you hear about people who have sacrificed for the country, but when you get a chance to talk to them and hear about their experiences, if it draws a stronger connection with them because you understand how important it is to have people like that protecting us and providing freedom.
You know, this experience has really helped me begin to understand. It's not something I could ever fully understand because I've not been in their shoes. But, you know, some of these visits, they are really fun and they're really rewarding, but some of them are pretty somber. You know, we've met with some terminal patients. We've met with patients who are very, very old and, you know, are living in care centers. You know, a lot of these guys are in their late 80s and 90s. And so I think it's really special for us to be able to go and talk to them and hear about their experiences, because we're losing veterans every day and we're losing their stories. And for, my generation and people who are younger, it's stuff that we can't even fathom. And so I feel really honored to be able to listen to their stories.
Hey, Wisa, what's something that maybe you've learned about yourself that you didn't know before, after you started spending time with veterans and hearing their stories and getting a chance to reach out to them?
Probably that. I just love sitting and listening and talking to them. Learning history just by sitting and talking to these men and women.
No doubt. Now, Wisa, you've got quite a resume. You've had a chance to work in the NBA, the Arena League, the WNBA, a ton of experience. When you look back on your career as a performer, did you enjoy a certain portion of it more than another, or was it all special in its own way?
Every team I've done has been special in its own way. I've been really lucky to be a part of so many different teams, and I think the thing that stands out most is that I have made some of my best lifelong friends by being on these teams and making really wonderful connections. That's a big part of why Vets for Vets is able to work, because, a lot of us started out dancing in Portland and then have moved out. So, we have girls not only in Portland, but we have girls in Phoenix, LA, San Francisco, San Diego, and Seattle. So we're really all over the place.
Well, that's great stuff. Wisa Opton is with us. Wisa, thanks for coming on the show. I really enjoyed Carrie Ager's piece, and I think what you guys are doing in the community for the vets, especially this time of year with Christmas coming up, I think it's fantastic. Check them out on Facebook at Vets for Vets. But Wisa, if there's anything we can ever do to spread the word for your cause, let us know.
Thanks for the opportunity, Chad. Really appreciate it.
You got it. Enjoy your evening. That's Wisa Opton, ladies and gentlemen. Wow.